Hi there, it's Tamsin here at Beginners Quilting Hub. I hope you're all doing well. It's time for another quilt tube. So this is week 5 and it's been another productive week. It's half term here at the moment in the UK. The weather is dismal, absolutely atrocious. We've got rain, storms, you name it, we've got it. So we're all bunkered down. I did take Dottie for a walk earlier and I'm soaking wet. So confession, I am wearing my pyjama bottoms because my clothes got absolutely soaked. Okay, let's get into this week. I have made myself a list because I've got quite a few things to talk you through and tell you and bring you up to date with, and a couple of whips to show you a bit of progress on. Now, I had, in response to last week's major haul video, I had loads of questions about the things that I bought, how I was going to, I don't know, maybe organise things and that kind of thing. So I thought I would show you kind of what I did over the weekend to try and get myself organised, find homes for everything. So let's go. The first thing I'm going to show you is this big old stack of project boxes. So Missouri Star kindly sent me a couple of extras, which I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with because I only bought a handful and actually they stack so nicely. Let me see if I can lift them up and show you. Look at this. They stack really nicely on top of each other. They look really nice. You can see what's in them. They're just really useful. So I have put in one kit or one project into each box. So in the first one, I've put in the English garden quilt. Now this has got everything that I need in here apart from the wadding that I'm going to need. So it's got all the fabric, the pattern, the backing, everything. So when I'm ready to make this one, I know that everything is safe and sound and ready to grab. So that was the first one. I had lots and lots of interest in this one. Let me just show you the pattern. Let's open the box. I'll just quickly show you the pattern once again, just to remind you of the pattern. So this is, let's get that in focus, English Garden. This is Laundry Basket Quilts, English Garden, and it is quilt size. It's about 65 by about 73. So there we go. Now this uses lots of cheetah prints. So I'm really excited to make this one. So this is all contained nicely in this box. And I've tried to keep all the fabric nice and flat. Obviously it will need probably starching and pressing, but it's all good to go. So I'm going to pop that one down there. That's the first one. The next one that I've got neatly in here is the KONA 2025 Block of the Month kit. So this came with the full pattern. So it's 12 different blocks that you make through the year. I'm not sure what I'm going to use as my backing yet. I really like it with the dark. But equally, I do normally do white. So that's all in here with all the charm squares in order, ready to start that one. So that's number 2. Number 3, I had lots of questions about this one as well. This is the Miracle Star quilt. This is a Missouri Star kit. This is the pattern. Actually, it's probably better to show you this. It's got the full picture on there. So this is all made using fat quarter colours and then a white background. So again, all in here, and pattern, pictures, everything, backing, everything ready to go. So that is the 3 kits that I bought. I've also got the Riley Blake kit. You can just about see that here. That one is actually a gift. But when I mentioned it to the person that I'm gifting it for, they've asked me if I'll keep it and make it. That might be a little project to think about. Now, what else have I been up to? Okay, the Arabella quilt. I've also, now, you know I've got the big storage box that actually it came in. So it's going to be remaining in there. But I needed a separate box just to kind of keep what I'm working on in there. So in here, I'm working on the paper piecing segment, and there is quite a bit of this, so I'm going to keep adding to this as I'm going through. But in here I've got binding clips, my embroidery, what are these called, needles, scissors, and some labels that I'm using. And then I've also put all the little packs of English paper piecing octagons and my embroidered bits and pieces in here, the little squares. I've got the thread that I'm using in here. Just out of interest, I use the bottom line thread, Superior Threads, and this is colour 621. It's pretty much invisible when you use it, so it's really, really good for English paper piecing. Now, I have managed to do a bit on this, so let me show you. Basically, the centre panel is made up of all of these octagons, so I have started putting them together. So there's 5 rows of 5 octagons. This one isn't quite finished in terms of rows. And basically you make the octagons and then you add a square to join them. So I've almost finished that one. I've obviously ran out of steam finishing that final one. And then I've put together, this is the centre row. Let me see, you can see the fabrics. So that is the centre row. And then this lovely purpley one underneath. So these are all Liberty fabrics. And then this is the bottom row, which is going to go, which will be the last one to sew. So, and this has got, no, hang on, that's not right. This is the bottom row. This is the 4th row because it's got the embroidered octagons that I embroidered on there. I love this one. So that one goes next and then that one will go underneath it. Yeah, that's the order. I'll check the picture before I make it. Right, so that is where I've got to on the Arabella quilt. I also spent hours at the weekend cutting all the requirements for that quilt. So basically it runs in installments and each installment requires different strips, squares, whatever. And the idea is that at the beginning you do all of the cutting. So I've done that. Shall I grab the bag? Let me just grab the bag. Just a reminder, this is the Arabella quilt. And it's a mixture of embroidery, English paper piecing, patchwork piecing, you name it, it's in there. So this is the first kind of storage bag that I'm going to be showing you. This set of 4 project bags, you get a larger one, 2 medium ones and a small one. It's actually on sale at the moment in Missouri Star. If you're interested in these and you're looking for some really cute but really useful project bags, these might be your winners. So I've just put the name of it in here just in case I forget which kit it is, but it's not likely, is it? And then what I've done is I've used food storage bags because I needed so many of them, and I've just cut everything, named it on the front, just installment, whatever installment is written in pen, and then inside I've cut all the pieces that I need. So I won't show you all of them, of course, but so this one, there's just like stacks and stacks of strips, just loads and loads of strips. So by doing that and doing all the cutting, there's some bigger squares here that I had to cut. By doing this all in advance, I'm putting it into the packs. When I come to installment whatever, 5, I can just grab the bag that corresponds with that installment and we can get sewing or pinning, whatever it is. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Now there was a lot of cutting, but a lot of it was strips, so it was quite easy to do. It didn't actually take me that long. I think the slowest bit was cutting, I think there's over 200 squares. I think these are like 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares, and you're cutting them from every bit of the fabric. So that was the biggest job, but I was using my stripology ruler, so it actually went really quickly. Right, let's put that back. So that's where I am with the Arabella quilt. I forgot to put this in the box. Hang on. I don't want to get myself up. After spending all that time organising things, I don't want to mess it all back up again now. Let's open the box, shove those back in. There we go. Back in its home. So that's all those stacked up. Right, I'm going to come back to the last one because that is the exciting thing I want to show you at the end. So the project bags that I just mentioned, I've put all of my templates into this one, and I've been trying out this product. So this is by Grace Company. It's called True Grips. And what these are designed to do, they're like little plasticky, gluey, sticky blobs basically, and you peel them off the backing sheet. I'll show you. You get this many in a pack, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 in a pack, and basically you peel them off. So you peel them off, they're like sticky circles, and you attach them to the back of templates, rulers, and it's just to help them stop slipping when you're using them. So I've applied them to my long ruler, and I've applied them to a square ruler and a smaller rectangular ruler. And actually they're really good. So what I thought is, as and when I come to use my templates for the various projects, but I thought as and when I come to them and I take off the protective coating, I'll add some grips. So that's why they're in here. Do you know what? I'm just going to keep them all in here. Then they're all nice and safe. And what I'm doing is I'm hanging them. Can you see here behind my chair? I've got my longer ruler. That's where I hang those. This just gets hung in front of it. The other thing that I've been doing is, this is the biggest one. So in there, how big is this? This is a big old bag, and it's got a handle, which again, so you can hang it up, you can carry it. So the hometown quilt, I've got a little bit behind on it, I'm not going to lie, and I should be about 2 blocks ahead of where I was. So I've made a conscientious effort this week to get 2 more blocks done and 2 more blocks drawn out. So when you make the hometown blocks, there's a cutting guide for all the fabric, but also on Laurie Holt's blog, she lists down all the So Simple shapes that you need for each house. So it's just a case of writing them down, finding the shapes, drawing around them, and then getting cracking. So what I thought I would do, because this is the bit that can take time, and quite often I can't be bothered to do this bit. So what I thought I would do is just sit at the table while the kids were doing whatever they were doing at the table, find the templates, draw around them, and actually just label them all and just see how many I could get done. And actually I managed to get the next 2 houses done. So I've done the sheep house and the teacup house. So this is all the shapes that I need. You can see them all drawn out. There's the little sheep. So I've drawn out all the shapes that I need, labelled them all with the numbers so that I know which house it goes with. And I think there's 6 pages of shapes there. So I thought that was quite a good way of getting ahead, so that this week, if I get 2 minutes, I can cut them out. And then when I get a bit more time, I can sit and sew them. Wow, I can sit and find the fabrics, sew them. So it's going to be kind of a little bit batchy. And then just keeping them in here just keeps them protected so that they don't get anything spilt on them. And I know where they are because they're in this nice big case. So I'm just going to keep that on my desk. And as and when I get a minute this week, I will work my way through there. Now's probably a good time to show you the 2 blocks. So this is where I've got to with the hometown quilt. So I've got these 4 here, which I think you've probably seen those. I've done YouTube videos on them, and the pineapple house. We've then got the birdhouse block. So the next one along was this one here, which is the firework house. And I was showing you that one last week, and I hadn't done these or hand sewn these on. So those are all done now. So that block is finished. And then there's this block. This is the bee hive house, which I absolutely loved. This is kind of strip pieces put together, and then and then you applique it, and then you sew it to the backing, and then applique it on. So it's such a gorgeous house. I really like that one. So if I come out, you can see all the houses together. So I've got a really good mix of colour, and I need to think carefully now about the 2 colours that I want to use for the next 2 houses. I've got some pinks, reds, there's one green, there's a blue. So I think the teacup house is blue and pink, and I think I probably will do that. But I'm not quite sure what colour to do the sheep house. So another really neat storage idea that I got when I was at Missouri Start were these little boxes. Now these are so cute. There's 3 of them. Where's the 3rd one? The 3rd one is over here. Let me just grab the 3rd one. Okay, so they come in a set of 3. This is the biggest one. There's nothing in this one yet because I couldn't quite decide what to use it for, but it's so pretty. I'm displaying them like this on my cutting desk behind me. And then what I've done is in the smallest one, I've put all of my needles in here. So I've got all of my sewing needles, hand sewing needles, embroidery needles, and then I've got all of my machine needles in here. And the middle one I've decided to use for all things rotary cutting. So I've got refills for the larger rotary cutter that I've got the smaller refills for the 45mm, I've got my old pot with my old ones in, and then I've got some kind of, if all my other rotary cutters fail, I've got a backup. The mechanism's broken on this one. So this is a one where you have to kind of pull it in to release, and the stopper doesn't work. So as soon as you start to cut, it flicks back. So you have to hold it, but it's good as a backup. And then I've got these 2 Alphas, which are so old now. I mean, these are the first ones that I bought. So these have been relegated to paper cutters. So spare one, paper cutters, and then just more rotary cutter blades. So I thought that was quite a good place to have those. They were kind of all sitting up here, but you know, it's quite nice to have everything packed away, isn't it? So I do like having things on show. I actually do quite like being able to pack things into really sweet little boxes and have them on display, so I know what's in them. But I just feel a bit more organised. So that's those. You've been asking me what I was going to use for those. I just don't know what to use for this big one. Maybe a lunchbox? Right, let's dump those down there. So I have been incredibly lucky to be gifted some fabric. So this is a UK wholesaler called Lewis and Irene. Now this lovely company is actually based not that far from me. So we are all based near the New Forest, and this lovely company reached out to me and said, would you like to try some of our fabrics? We would love to send you a bundle. So the bundle has arrived and I'm dying to show this to you. So let me hold some of these up and show them to you. Now, from what I can see on their website, this is so this is a little selection of 2 different collections. I'm going to show you this one first because I think this is super cute. So this is called Puffin Bay. And they've sent me a good half a metre of each of these fabrics. So let me hold these up so you can get a good view of them. Isn't that cute? So cute. You get the lighthouse. So there's that one. And then we've kind of got some mixy ones. This is like the sea. And then little stars, little starfish. And then we've got, this is so cute. The little seals. So playful, this fabric. And then I think this is one of the main fabrics of the line, Puffin Bay line, with the actual puffins on. And these colours, I hope these are coming through on the camera. They're so vibrant. The dark blues, the purples. So they are so cute. This is screaming out for some fussy cutting, don't you think? So that was the first little set. Just put those there. And then I think out of the 2, this is my favourite set. So this is called Paradise. And I think you'll see why. It's so cute. So, and then look at this. This just cracked me up when I saw this one. The little pineapples. Isn't that lovely? And then we've got some palm trees in all different colours. And then there's this one, which is just gorgeous again. And then this one, just to finish off. The blue in this is a really unusual blue, and it's lovely, and it works really, really well with that kind of lime green. So I was chuffed to bits to receive that. I have no expectations for people to send me things or gift me things, but when they do, honestly, it means the absolute world, especially because they'd found me on Instagram, and they actually follow me on Instagram, and they always kind of look at my stories and things, and just to reach out and ask me if I'd like to see some of their fabrics and would like to have a play with some of their fabrics. It's just incredibly generous. So thank you so much. I will tag them below so that you can go and have a look at their website if this is the kind of fabric that you like. You can't buy directly from them. They are wholesalers in the UK, but they are stocked everywhere. So if there's something that you like, you can look on the website and they will tell you who their stockists are. So you can go along and you can find the fabrics. You just can't buy it directly from them. But yeah, gorgeous. And these fabric lines, obviously I've just shown you a small snapshot of them. There's plenty more in there, so go and have a look. The website is split out into seasons, and then within the seasons are all the fabric collections that they've released. So this is all their 2025 stuff. So yeah, well worth checking out if this is the kind of fabric that you like. The other thing that I've been doing is organising all that fabric that I bought from Missouri Start. So I had bought loads of layer cakes. I also got gifted some layer cakes. I'm just looking at what I got now. A stack of Christmas fabric. I bought loads of white fabric, so white on white, really neutral, creams, that kind of thing. I bought a stack more Lori Holt, and I bought, what else did I buy? Some Tula Pink, and then I bought loads of bundles. So what I've done is, where I had all the white shelves down the side of where I'm sitting now, I've actually taken all of the white boxes out and they're now stored under my desk, and I've put all my lovely fabric on show. I wouldn't ordinarily encourage you to have fabric out that's not in a box or a case, but I know I'm going to be using this fabric quite a lot. So it's going to be coming in and out. I'm going to be fiddling around with it. So it's not like it's just going to be sitting there for years. I've tried to put out fabrics that I know I'm going to be using. Everything else that's kind of used infrequently is all in my dream box behind the camera here, and all in boxes. So that's fine. The stuff that's out is the stuff that I know I'm going to be using all the time. The one thing I ran out of steam was to sort all my Liberty fabric out. But what we've decided to do, I have far too much of it. I've got so much, I'm never going to be able to use it all. So what we're going to be doing is making out some scrap bags. I say scrap bags, they're not scraps. We're going to cut 5-inch squares of loads of different ones and then kind of bundle them up so you get a real mixture of Liberty fabrics, and just put them in my shop so that you guys can enjoy them as well. There's so many there, and I do love having them just sitting on my shelf and just looking at them. But Liberty is way too good to just sit on a shelf to be looked at. So I'm going to cut myself a selection. I'll cut a bit of every fabric for me to keep, and then the rest of it is going to go into like these, they're not scrap bags, they're like selection boxes really of fabric. So each one will be different and you'll get different fabric in each one. But that's the plan, and I'm going to bribe my husband to help me cut them. I might bribe him with some kind of takeaway. But would you like to see the fabric shelves? Yeah, let me turn the camera around and I'll show you. So here we go. So this was my desk where I was filming, and this is just to the left of it. So what I originally had was these boxes at the top. These were all the way down with all different fabrics and things in them. So what I've done is I've moved all of those now to underneath my desk, under there. So they're stored away safely, and they're things that I don't use that often. So I'm quite happy with them being under there. This is the stuff that I use all the time. So let's go top to bottom. So at the top here is all the fabric bundles that I bought in Missouri or was gifted. Anyone guess what this is here? These are my Lorry Holt fabrics. I didn't realise I had quite so many, but I am using them for the hometown and the calico garden, and no doubt I will do more quilts. I've already got the So Simple shapes to make this quilt, which is the So Happy quilt. So this fabric is going to get used. This here is from the hometown collection, and these are the original kind of B-dots ones. And then I bought a whole stack of neutrals, which I need for both quilts. And then these here, this looks like a lot, but actually a lot of them are 1/4 yard cuts, apart from the 2 top ones. But all of these are 1/4 yard and 1/2 yard cuts. These are meterage, there's quite a few in here. Quite a few meters of each in here. But yeah, these were smaller cuts that I got from Missouri so I could get a good variety of colours. So yeah, so that's those. This here is going to be a fabric bundle that I'm going to sell. Gosh, I got these months ago, didn't I? I remember doing a video and showing you these in my haul, and I just haven't got round to cutting them. But this is going to be a little fabric bundle. I think these would be so good for summer. These are all my layer cakes. So this is the gifted one on the top here, the Tula pink one. This is her newest fabric collection. So there's going to be a project with that coming up. And then I've kind of put all the layer cakes that I've bought and all the ones that I bought when I was in Missouri all in here. And I've got the hometown ones that are left over here. So those are all layer cakes. I've just now completely messed up the stack, but I'll go back through and organise those in a minute. These are kind of special Christmas fabrics that I've used for the welcome home wall hanging, the kitty Christmas. Some of these are really hard to get. I couldn't get all the ones that I wanted. And then just a kind of real mix up of fabrics here. So I just really like these, really pretty. These are kind of my favourite Christmas fabrics that I want to use. So those are there. This is a little secret sneak peek here. I'm not going to give you too much information about what this fabric's for, but it's something that's going to be coming. Oh, these are some tildes, and I mentioned these a couple of quilt tubes ago. These are going to be a pincushion kit, and I don't think there's much in that. That's an empty box. Woohoo! An empty box. So we can put some bits in there. This was going to be I was going to join a sew along and use these fabrics, but I didn't end up doing it, but I would still like to make the quilt. So I thought I'm going to keep the fabrics together and we'll come to those at a later date. These are some William Morris Liberty fabrics, which again, I've got a project in mind for, and I'm going to give you a really good show and tell when I come to do that. And then the bottom shelf, look at this. This is all my Liberty fabric. We'll just gloss over those. Having everything out is just really nice. I do like things to be tidy though. You will normally find my sewing room quite tidy. My reel this week where I said about putting my sewing room to bed, I do genuinely put my sewing room to bed pretty much every night. If I've been in here, unless I've got something out and I'm literally going to come straight back to it in the morning, I will put everything away, just have a quick tidy up, because it just helps me. If I walk in here and the room's a complete mess, quite often I'll just walk back out again and I have to psych myself up to come in here and tidy. So what I like to do is if I've finished, and I try and finish 5 minutes before I know when I've got to finish, or I just make that extra 5 minutes and I just put everything away. Rulers away, scissors up on the board, scraps in the bin or in my scrap baskets, pile everything neatly and then lay out what I'm going to be working on next. I think that's the key. Because then when I walk back in the room, I'm not going, oh, where did I get to? What do I need? I'm straight in, I've got the fabric, I've got the pattern or whatever I'm cutting. I know exactly what I'm doing and I can do it. I think having children still of, you know, primary school and just turned secondary school age, you can't always bank on having long chunks of time. So quite often it might be half an hour, 20 minutes when they're doing something. I can whip in and it's surprising what you can get done in that time if you can literally walk in, get your head down and start. So that's generally, my room is genuinely quite tidy. Of course it has its moments and there's definitely messy areas. This part here drives me insane. Look, there's just so much stuff here. I need to actually have a good sort out of that, but it's paperwork. Ugh. So who wants to deal with that? Not me. Anyhow, I thought I would show you something that I'm going to be doing. So Kimberly of Autumn Hollow Patchwork on Instagram is another fellow partner with Missouri Star. So we were both gifted the 10-inch stacker, so it's a layer cake, of the Kaffe Classic Spectrum. So this is a pack of 10-inch squares, and I mean the fabrics are vibrant, they are absolutely stunning. If you've ever seen any of Kaffe quilts, you will know what I mean when I say vibrant. The colours are vibrant. If you aren't aware of Kaffe's work, have a little Google and have a look at his quilts. They're not for everybody. They're kind of a bit of a Marmite. You either love or you hate. But I think they're stunning. And this fabric collection is gorgeous. It really embodies, this collection really embodies Kaffe. So there's a few of them. And then there's a few kind of mixes in here as well, which is super cute. And you got this in all the different colours. We were chatting saying, oh, you know, maybe we could sew a quilt together and at the same time. And we wondered whether any of you guys might like to join in. And Kimberly's going to ask some of her followers. And we just thought it might be fun if others were joining in or others fancy joining in, or maybe just following along with us. So we're going to make a quilt. Now we ummed and ahed and we couldn't decide on what pattern. And so I've just let Kimberly choose. And what we've landed on is, it's called the Big T Origami Quilt by Missouri Star. It's a Missouri Star pattern. I'll put all the information in the description box below of both this layer cake and the pattern. But to be honest, the pattern, as long as it's a layer cake with lots of different colours, will work really nicely with any layer cake. So if this isn't for you, or you don't want to buy a layer cake, but you really want to join in with us, just use one that you've got, or cut yourself loads of 10-inch squares from fabrics that you've got, from kind of, you know, a collection of fabric. Or equally, this one would work with kind of anything. Particularly, it uses 2 colours in each kind of square with the white. Now I went through my neutrals. I didn't show you my neutrals, did I? Basically the box of neutrals here is just all different whites. And I pulled them all out and kind of laid them next to this, and actually I think I landed on just a simple plain white. There's no pattern, it's not white on white, it is simply a white cotton, and that is going to make these colours pop. Any of the others I got just looked a bit odd. They were a bit too fragile in terms of their, some of them had little flowers on them, some of them had little dots on them, and compared to like this crazy bright vibrant print, it just looked odd. So a plain classic white teamed with these, you have to pick 30 squares to be like kind of like your main squares, and then 8 to 10 which are going to be your centres. So I've decided to use all the floors for the kind of main block, and then these will all be the centres. So, and I think it leaves you with between 2 and 4 depending on what you want to do, but I want lots of variety in mine. So I will put all the information that we've got so far in the description box. I'll let you know the pattern and the fabric and what you need. In terms of fabric, you need 1 layer cake, and then the background fabric, so the white, you need 3 1/4 yards, and then you need obviously a border, binding and backing, but that's all in the pattern. The pattern, you can buy obviously the physical pattern, but I'm in the UK, so it doesn't make sense for me to buy that pattern, so I tend to buy my patterns digitally. which I've done, and it's currently over, I think it's 60% off at the moment, and I think it was literally a couple of dollars, the pattern. I'll put the name of the pattern below. Go and have a look and see what you think. But yeah, so I put that in a project box so that when we get started with that, that's all in here. But I think the plan is that we're going to run that on Instagram and probably through our stories and just kind of show you what we're doing. I would imagine both our quilts will end up looking quite different, even though we're using the same fabric. We'll probably make different choices in terms of what fabrics we're going to put together. But we both said we'd use the same layer cake. So yeah, I'm really excited. So I think that's it for this week. Not loads of sewing, lots of prep, lots of organising, lots of kind of clearing the mind, getting the sewing room looking nice and sharp, and lots of planning ready for the next couple of weeks. It is half term this week, so I'm not anticipating getting loads done. However, I would really like to make a start on this, at least get this cut and some videos made of those early stages, me selecting my fabrics and how to cut them and that kind of thing, preparing my background fabric. I can't decide whether to starch it or not. I'm thinking maybe not, as you can't really starch a layer cake. But I've got some tips about measuring and how to cut layer cake. So that will all be in my Instagram stories. If you don't follow me on Instagram, come on over and have a look. I post on there pretty much every day, pretty much in the moment, what I'm up to. And also I try and post a reel or videos every day as well. What's going to be coming up? So in the next week, I want to try and get another hometown quilt. No, not a quilt, a block. I want all the fabric chosen, cut and ready to sew. And if I can get it sewn, all the better. The Arabella quilt, I'd really like to get the rest of those octagons sewn, but I think I may be overreaching a little bit on that because they do take quite a bit of time. The basting part was super quick because I was just using the sew line glue, but actually the sewing part is taking some time. So we'll see. And then we might start another quilt. Who knows, but we'll see. Anyhow, that is QuiltTube for this week. Let me know in the comments what you're up to. Are you working on anything at the moment? Have you got a WIP that you'd like to share with me? I'd love to know what's going on, what's on your sewing table, and maybe what you're going to be working on over the coming week. As I said, come over and find me on Instagram if you're interested in kind of daily, what's going on daily. And yeah, I hope you're subscribed to the channel. That way you'll get notified when my QuiltTube comes out every week. For now, I will say goodbye, and I'm going to go and put all these boxes away. Take care, and I'll speak to you next week.